Hello! It has been a while since I've done a purchase or pass, but there are a lot of new beauty products that I am so intrigued to talk about today. I like to categorize this series into different segments, so we're going to start off with the one that I think is the biggest theme in beauty right now, and that is cherry-mania. I feel like I cannot escape cherries right now. I don't know if you've been observing this as well, but every major beauty publication has been reporting that cherry is the color for 2025. Everyone is shouting from the rooftops, cherry, 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 and we are seeing that in makeup launches big time. The biggest one is probably the Glossier cherry collection. I've been seeing everyone talk about this, but they are not the only brand to do a full cherry collection. We've also gotten one from Real Techniques. They call this the cherry on top. Even outside of full cherry collections, they're like every launch is cherry themed. NudeStix just launched a cherry blush called Cherry Pie. Fenty Skin just came out with a cherry cleanser called Cherry Dub. And then I felt like this kind of tied in maybe a little bit loosely, but Dyson has a limited edition red version of the Airwrap right now. This is actually for Lunar New Year, so it's not necessarily part of the cherry mania, but I felt like it tied in because we are seeing this like deep red color everywhere. Also, cherry perfumes. Ariana Grande is coming out with a new cherry perfume. Clean Reserve just launched a cherry fragrance. And what I think is interesting about all of these cherry launches is that the photography is so similar between all of them. Like, if you were to just show me some of the promo photos minus the product, I wouldn't be able to tell you which brand it's from because they all have really similar imagery for all of them, which on some level makes sense. Like, how much can you do with cherry? Like, inevitably it's gonna look similar, but I think this is a key theme we've been seeing in beauty for the last few years is like food adjacent launches or just food merged with makeup. All of these promo photos, they look very edible. It's like paired with a cake, it's paired with a cherry pie, like you're drooling looking at them. And we've seen this kind of through line the last few years in makeup where we had every possible food themed look, like strawberry girl makeup, tomato girl makeup, latte girl makeup, like everything is all about food. And unsurprisingly, we're seeing this big time in beauty launches right now. And I think this is only the beginning. Like inevitably we're gonna see this deep red shade be really prominent in packaging throughout the year. But what I would be surprised if this cherry color maintains relevancy through all of 2025. I could be totally wrong there, but it feels very winter for me, so it makes sense to see it right now as this like deeper, bolder red. I don't know that it will be as prominent this summer. Granted, they could take the cherry another direction and do a much like brighter red version of a cherry, but it makes sense that we're seeing all of these coming out right now in winter. And what I will say, I know it's so tempting to want to like hop on this trend, buy all these cherry products, and certainly you could. Some of them look beautiful. But this is a great time to shop your stash if you want to participate in this trend. There is a high likelihood that you already have cherry toned products in your collection, and if you don't, it's relatively easy to mix that up. Like if you want to do a cherry lip, take some black eyeliner, draw that over the lip, and then put a red over top, kind of blend them together, and now you have a deep red kind of cherry tone. Even if you want to play around with a cherry manicure, you can follow that same method too of kind of mixing a red and a black, maybe taking the black first and then doing a somewhat sheer red if you have something like that, doing that on top to get that deep cherry color. Like there are ways to create this out of things that you already have. The next big theme that I'm seeing in launches right now is something that I'm calling the packaging problem. Makeup products look and feel cheaper than ever, and I was so shocked at a lot of these recent launches and their packaging. The biggest offender here, let me scoot. This from Charlotte Tilbury. Okay, we don't have many details at the time that I'm filming this, but I'm seeing these like leaks all over the internet for these colorful 9-pan palettes with a plastic lid. Charlotte Tilbury is known for her beautiful packaging, for the luxury experience that you're buying with the products. I was flabbergasted to see these. This looks like the colorful 9-pan palettes that were popular 4 to 5 years ago. Like this is ColourPop, this has been done a million times, and plastic clear lid. I could not believe that. I've done an entire video about the Charlotte Tilbury brand and their brand story. I'll leave it linked down below, but I spoke extensively in that video about the brand selling the idea of celebrity. They're really selling you on the luxury fantasy. But seeing this launch feels so disconnected from everything we've known about the Charlotte Tilbury brand. I couldn't believe it. That, along with this from Urban Decay, I'm like, once again, this is ColourPop packaging. Like, they have identical packaging for their blushes, and Urban Decay just launched these blushes for $25. And again, they're not the only brand to offer clear plastic packaging. I'm just underwhelmed, to say the least. Even on the other end of the spectrum, the e.l.f. powders that just launched, I will probably pick this up because on some level I feel obligated to. I want to update you guys on a review. I want to share my thoughts on it. But to be completely candid, if I was not reviewing makeup online, I wouldn't even dream of buying these, because for $14, what is this packaging? Why are these $14? I've also heard mixed reviews on them. I will pick them up because I would like to do a drugstore wrap up at some point in the next month, but yeah, what's going on? I just look at all of these next to one another and I think, when did we stop trying? These do not match the price. And going back to high-end, there have been so many launches lately that have looked like drugstore to me. If I did not see the brand logo on there, I would have immediately assumed it was a drugstore brand, like the new Hot Sticks from Smashbox, or even the new mascara from Benefit. I'm sure it has some like weight to the packaging, but like the colors, the imagery, and the advertising all feels very drugstore. And I think this kind of falls back on a topic that we talked about in my last video, where beauty brands are chasing younger and younger audiences, and we're really seeing this play out in packaging. Like, the shelves are looking very rainbow these days, as opposed to 5 to 10 years ago when things were a lot more sleek. We saw a lot of black packaging, or if it was colorful, they were still quite muted colors, like very millennial pink, very beige. Now everything is very bright, very punchy. Even going back to the Urban Decay blushes, the packaging is purple. And we've seen this colorful approach for a few years from more mid-range brands, but I'm surprised and kind of underwhelmed seeing it from more expensive brands at Sephora. Next segment that I want to talk about falls in line with my beauty predictions. A few of them are coming true, so obviously I want to talk about them. Starting with a prediction that I made for 2025, that we would see at-home devices big time, and we just got this really interesting launch from Shark. This is an LED mask, but it has multiple different colors. So you could do red light, you can do blue light. As of right now, it has launched in the UK, and seeing this from Shark has me wondering if we'll see something similar from Dyson as well. A lot of these brands that actually started off as vacuum brands then went into hair and are now just in beauty technology in general. So I think we're gonna see more red light, more microcurrent, even like at-home radio frequency I've been seeing. So I don't think this is the end of this. This is just the beginning. I think we're gonna see a lot of really cool, innovative technology. So I will keep my eyes on that. My other prediction was that Rare Beauty would launch a bronzer in 2025, and they launched these. They're technically contours, so I guess you could maybe say I didn't fully get this right, but I'm gonna give it to myself. So I said in my video that they would launch another bronzer type product. I said it could be a powder, it could be a liquid. I wasn't fully sure, but I was confident they would be coming out with a bronzer this year. But what I thought we might have seen from Rare Beauty that I actually would have preferred would be a baked bronzer in the same packaging that they've done their baked highlighters and blushes. I think that would have been a really cool addition to the line. But yeah, we did get this contour from Rare Beauty, and an old prediction of mine that is finally coming around, powder foundations. I talked about this, I don't think it was in my predictions from last year, I think it was the year before that. I've been waiting for powder foundation to have a moment, and I feel like it's trying to, and it's just not taking off. Like, we got powder foundation last year from Natasha, Denon. e.l.f. has launched powder foundation in the last couple of years, and now we're getting one from Kylie Cosmetics. I just don't think I don't think people want a powder foundation. I am the one, I'm like shouting from their shops. I'm like, powder foundations can be great. Like, it is possible to do good powder foundation formulas. I think Bare Minerals is a perfect example of this. Their powder foundation looks like a liquid on your skin. It's so creamy and hydrating. And I don't know if that will be the case with this Kylie one, but I'm gonna say I'm actually less excited seeing the powder foundations kind of coming out now, because I'm like, ugh, I don't know. I wanted this a few years ago, and now I can't say I don't know, I'm kind of just over it, I guess, but we'll see if we get a few more of those. Also, I have to laugh as I'm repowdering a little bit right now. I will always get comments, I'm like in a tank top. I always get comments like, Kelly, you live in such a cold climate, and I know it's cold in New York. How are you in summer clothes? Like the other day, someone said to me, I saw this thumbnail and thought this was an old video because I was wearing like a halter top. But I live in a very old building with a radiator, and you know, if you have a radiator, like winter does not exist around here. It might be 10 degrees outside, but it is like 85 in here. And I'm not complaining, I love it so much. Okay, we're moving along to our next segment that I have called, oh, that's kind of different. And the key word here is kind of. They're launches that feel less expected than other things that we have seen recently, even if they're maybe not brand new to the market for the first time ever in the world. I feel like with some of the themes I'm going to talk about in this section, there are product styles that have been popular in Asian makeup products for a while now, but are just now becoming popular for a lot of Western beauty brands. But we did get a sneak peek. Well, not a sneak peek. We've been getting sneak peeks. We know that Rhode is coming out with a lip liner, but we're getting a few more details on it. At the time I'm filming this video, this is all we know, just kind of these little spoiler photos. But if you zoom in, it is dual-ended. So one side has more of your precision lip liner, and the other side is that blurred out lip liner. Similar concept to the one that Refi launched pretty recently. I do like that one. My only disappointment with the Refi one actually has nothing to do with the product or its performance. It is the packaging. Like, mine came broken. Pretty much any review I've watched from it, everyone's like, it comes broken. Like, it just pops right out. It's not well made, even though the product itself is good and like performs well. Hopefully this is something Rhode can improve on while still offering a similar type of that like blurred out product, which again, that was big in my predictions too. I said we were gonna see the word blur everywhere. Everything was gonna be all about a blurred out lip line. So I'm actually very excited about these from Rhode. We also have to talk about the Lisa Eldridge Pinpoint Concealer. I think this is cool. I don't think it's as innovative and brand new as it's being presented, like, oh, this is the first of its kind. I would say it's less common, but this style of product we've certainly seen before, maybe not necessarily something as precise as this. Like Jones Road has a pencil for concealing. Like there are other products that have this precision to them, but I do find myself intrigued by this. That being said, I thought that I was gonna pick this up, and then I watched Amanda Z's review of it, and she was like, not for dry skin, and I was like, okay, probably not for me then. What I will say though is you can kind of emulate this technique even without this exact product. Don't get me wrong, I think it seems like really user-friendly. You can create a similar effect to that. Just take your concealer, apply it directly to the spot, and take your finger and tap it in. Like that's the same concept as like pinpoint concealing. You know, we've also called it spot concealing. It's kind of the same thing, but I do like that this is very, very precise, very, very small. And as someone that can get a lot of like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation from acne, I think this could be really ideal for that. Like I've had a few spots on my forehead that I'm working on fading right now. And even today, when I was like going in with my concealer, I was thinking, I'm like, oh, that actually would be so handy to just disappear. This style of product also makes sense with the undetectable look we've been talking about over and over in videos recently. And this is the type of product that it's not gonna look like a lot of coverage because it is just like that one specific spot as opposed to covering the whole face. And what I like about these, like I said, I can't say it's like a brand new concept the first time anything like this has ever been done in the world, but I appreciate that it does not feel like a copy and paste of something else, because every launch recently has felt like a copy and paste of everything else, which will lead us into the next category, which is part 2 of, oh, that's kind of different. This is, oh, that's kind of different, but the sarcastic interpretation, because these things are not different. And I have thought that with like every launch I have seen from the drugstore lately, I'm like, oh great, another dupe of something. And I even debated if I include the drugstore dupe combo in this video, because I feel like for almost 2 years now, I've just been talking about how fatigued I am by dupes at the drugstore. And now I'm fatigued about talking about how fatigued I am. I'm just like, oh, of course you came out with a dupe. You're all coming out with the same thing. And on some level, I appreciate that these products can be more accessible when they are duped at the drugstore, but it's like every drugstore brand is duping all of the same products and nothing is new. It is just the same thing over and over again. And as someone with so much love for the drugstore, I have felt kind of uninspired by the drugstore lately, but I will say there have been a few launches that have caught my eye that I am planning to pick up, but it's been a lot of dupes. And even outside of the drugstore duping the high-end brands are duping each other. And maybe not in an as exact type of way as we're seeing at the drugstore, but it's like all the same kinds of products. Like every brand in the last few months has launched a glowy like primer / highlighter type product. Urban Decay, Danessa Myricks, everyone. It's like, oh my gosh, everything is the same. So we talked about, oh, that's different, sarcastic, but now let's talk about, I wish that was different. The first one that I put in this category, let me scoot, is this from Gisou. Let me preface with, absolutely nothing wrong with this product. I'm sure it's lovely. I actually don't have any qualms with this, but when I saw this on Trend Mood, I thought it was a moisturizer and I got excited. I was like, wait, what a great direction for Gisou. But no, this is actually a hair mask, which also makes complete sense. I'm not surprised to see that. But now, after mistaking this for a moisturizer, I want Gisou to do skincare. I think that could be a great next direction, and it feels logical considering they did the lip oils, which you could say are a makeup product, but you also could consider that a skincare product. They also have a beauty balm, they have some facial oils, but I feel like there's room to do a full skincare line under Gisou. I think they could do like a honey moisturizer. I mean, this is a honey hair mask. I love the honey moisturizer from Pharmacy, so I was envisioning this being something similar. I think the only bummer would be like Gisou is known for their products smelling delicious, and I obviously don't want my skincare to have a scent in it, so we would have to omit that delicious fragrance, but I feel like they could do skincare really well because I've talked before about the Gisou hair oil just not being for me because I have fine hair and it can kind of weigh it down, but that style of like very heavy, nourishing product is exactly what I want for my skin as someone with very dry, sensitive skin. So I wish this was a moisturizer, even though it's probably a lovely hair mask, and I think this makes complete sense, a very logical launch for them, but now I want them to come out with a moisturizer. Another one that I wish was different, this from Natasha Denona. I am perpetually underwhelmed by Natasha Denona for the last couple of years, and this used to be the brand to watch in my eyes. Like, I adored all of her launches. There are so many favorites that I have from the brand, the concealer, the eyeshadows, but when I saw this, I was like, of course you would. So it's their Hy blush, it's part of the Hy line. They've done a lot with this like naming pattern. And I was kind of shocked, one, by the colors. First of all, I'm just I'm a little fatigued with blush. At this point, it's just been constant blush launches for the last few years, but the colors here also just don't feel very timely. I think this launch a year ago could have been a lot more exciting, but considering the direction blush is moving in 2025, this could have been a much more exciting launch had they gone with browns, nudes. We're kind of getting that like barely there blush look. We've seen a lot more nude blushes, like Patrick Ta just came out with 3 new shades that are quite nude. And then these are still just like this really bright pink that I think a lot of people have. And we've been collecting this bright pink shade of blush for a few years now. I just don't know that anyone needs this color pink blush anymore. So one, I would change it either to just different tones, or what could have been really, really exciting would be a bronzer launch from them. Like, we could do similar packaging, just maybe not a split pan. I mean, it could be a split pan, but probably not. But just like a bronzer, or if they could come out with a cream bronzer in a pan, that would be really exciting. I saw this and I was like, oh, okay. And also under the section of I wish that was different, I'm gonna sneak in some quick thoughts on these from Kosas. While we're talking new launches, Kosas came out with brightening versions of the Revealer Concealer. I was so excited initially, but I have to say, these just are not working for me. I will do a speed reviews that is on my calendar to do. I'm not quite ready to do it yet, but expect it in February. But I was like, I can't wait until then to talk about these. I do not like them. So specifically, the very light pink one is the one that's kind of designed for my skin tone. This is the shade Magic. And I'm putting this under the category of I wish it was different because this is so pink that it makes my blue on my under eyes so much more amplified because you take in blue and pink together and they make purple. So then my under eye darkness is so much more noticeable than if I'm not using this. Like, I think this brightener kind of works if I do my regular concealer and then I kind of give myself a blank canvas and then do a little bit of this to get that light, bright pink effect. It can be pretty and can mix in with blush pretty, but no, this doesn't work for me. And then even the shade Illusion, which is the next shade deeper than this is a better peachy tone for color correcting, but then it's a little bit too deep for my skin tone. So I actually think if you have more of a medium skin tone, I have a feeling you would enjoy this one, but the light pink, is kind of illogical in my opinion if you have blue in your under eyes. Like it does not do you any favors, okay? So I wish that was different. I think they could have done a very light peach like this that would have been better for fair and light skin tones while also giving that color correcting property, but yeah. Okay, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on all these new beauty launches. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.